In today's vlog, I will be talking about the global governance. Good day one and all, my name is Maxine Colina Masa and I would like to welcome you all to my channel. This is an academic vlog that will aid you to learn about our topic today, which is in regards to global governance. I need your attention as I proceed talking over about the topic. Without any fuss or delay, let's get started. So this is the table of contents. First, the global governance is a structure, as a process, and as a mechanism. We will talk about this first. Second, historical evolution of the global governance since World War II, or the current global order and challenges. We will talk about this second. Third, emerging powers in the new global order, opportunities and challenges. Then we will talk about this. So first is the multiple perspectives on global governance as a structure, as a process, and as a mechanism. As a structure. Structure means system of rules, institutionalized modes of social construction. Structurally, the global economy has been sustained for many years by an institutional architecture consisting of major economic institutions like the IMF or the International Monetary Fund, World Bank Group, and the GATT, or the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade, created under the auspices of the Bretton Woods system, led by the Transatlantic Alliance after the World War II. As a process is characterized by interaction and participation amongst different actors to coordinate and manage issues as they arise. It is therefore a norm-generating process through different practices of governing. Global governance is framed more comprehensively to encapsulate a range of actors exercising authority at the global level, justifying calls for processes to become more participative and inclusive. As a mechanism, governance is about decision-making and developing mechanisms and institutions required for achieving desired policy outcomes. Global governance can be seen more practically as a mechanism to make collective decisions, enforce global rules, and address common problems, mechanisms being collectively pushed by agents seeking to govern activities in their respective issue area. Next is the historical evolution of the global governance since World War II. Below are the list. First is the World Bank, the International Monetary Fund, the World Trade Organization, the United Nations System, bilateral agencies, the Organizations for Economic Cooperation and Development, or the OECD, and the Development Assistance Committee, or the DAC. Non-governmental organizations, multinational corporations, banks and development funds, and development researchers and institutes. The milestones of the global governance since World War II. In 1940s, Bretton Woods and Marshall Plan occurs. In 1950s, Bandung Conference and Non-Aligned Movement. In 1960s, the OPEC, or Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, the UNCTAD, or the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, the UNDP, or the United Nations Development Program, and the UNIDO, or the United Nations Industrial Development Organizations, and the G77, which means the Group of 77, occurs. In 1970s, the World Debt Crisis and the Structural Adjustment Programs, the UNNIEO, or United Nations New International Economic Order. 1980s, the North-South Dialogue. In 1990s, the Gulf War, WTO or the World Trade Organization, the G20 or the Group of 20, the MDGs or the Millennium Development Goals. In 2009.11, the financial crisis, the concept of BRICS or the Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, first BRICS Summit, and the HLF 4th Busan. The current order and challenges. The first one is managing the global power shift. So by 2050, Brazil, China, and India will constitute 40% of the global output, up from 10% in 1950s. Future of the world and the success of global governance are very much dependent on the interaction between the existing and emerging powers. Second is the provision of global public goods. Policy coherences becomes critical in this fragmented institutional. Third one is the legitimizing global governance. The effectiveness and inclusiveness, for example, crisis in climate change governance. Another example is the unfair rules in agricultural and manufacturing sector. Encounter and challenges for the channels, trade, World Trade Organization or the WTO, investment, CSR, the corporate social responsibility, labor, human rights, environment, and governance. Aid, OECD, which means Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, or Development Assistance Committee or DAC, the Official Development Assistant or the ODA, conditionality. Financial institutions, World Bank or the WB, IMF or the International Monetary Fund, or voting. UN system, security and development. The detailed differences in aid and business will be introduced in detail in Season 3. So we have here effectiveness, inclusiveness, conception, principles and value, strategically, policies, practices, the bottom billion, the climate change, inequality in developing countries, urbanization and migration, globalization, financial stability. Third one is the emerging powers and global order, the opportunities and challenges. Given their expanding economic size and increasingly active diplomacy, the BRICS countries are gradually gaining greater influence over the international decision-making process. Managing the influence of these emerging powers and reforming global institutions will become decisive issues for establishing an effective global governance system. Advancing international cooperation, reforming international financial institutions, the IMF, World Bank, and UN Security Council. Giving spaces to institutional initiatives such as G20, BRICS Bank, which will open up to the developing world new resources, experiences, and understanding of the priorities of emerging powers. Coordinating a bridging pluralist landscape, issue of coherence. Promoting institutional diversity and global governance to make it more inclusive and coherent, which will cover issues including economic, liberalization, technological diffusion, intellectual authority, C for All Global Governance in Action, and high-level panel report on post-2015 MDGs agenda, incorporating ideas of the Global South. Trilateral cooperation, China DAC or the Development Assistance Committee Study Group, new spaces and dancer networks linking DAC and non-DAC donors. Dancer networks linking researchers from rising powers and submerging powers. New spaces and dancer network linking researchers from different rising powers. Official recognition of the importance of mutual learning based on first-hand experience, and donor agencies from submerging powers finding ways to support mutual learning. Let's proceed to the components of the IDS Rising Powers in International Development Program. The Global Development Cooperation Space Study, BRICS Countries State of the Debate Studies, Development Studies Learning Partnership, China and Brazil in African Agriculture Study, Learning from the Rising Powers or the SIA's meetings, BRICS Africa, footprint studies, political economy of law, carbon transition study. Next is the case analysis. Case analysis on the differences and convergence of the emerging powers and established countries in terms of their conceptions and practitioners. Paper 1, Lee Xiaoyun and Richard Carey, 2013, The BRICS Development Agenda and the International Development System, Challenges and Convergence. Draft for IDS Discussion Paper. Paper 2, Guji, Humphrey J., Messner D., The Global Governance in Developing Countries, The Implications of the Rise of China, The World Development 2008. And it's a wrap. That would be all for today's academic vlog. After the discussion, may you able to grasp knowledge and use it purposely. Thank you so much for your attention. I am so very grateful for your time. Spread love and God bless.